this story begin.
We're recording right now, Pantelis.
Viva, welcome to the Christmas special. We do this every year, except this time we left the regular studio and we came out here in the middle so we can have a nice, comfortable couch. What do you think? What do you think of this?
I like it. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my legs. If I want to cross them,
I'll
every now and
cross them
again. Here we go.
sometimes. I'll move them around. I like to get on these poly-sleep couches. I like to get comfy. They turn into beds.
They are beautiful, and the purple is the color of which this
Of
is
royalty.
my camera. That's both of us.
He could switch. It doesn't matter.
Pantelis, first of all, high
five.
five, dude.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw each other?
We did a summer stream.
We did a summer stream.
Yeah.
What was going on this summer? The big news was before Biden pulled out.
Yes.
It was obviously before the assassination.
Well, had he
attempt.
pulled out, he wouldn't need to have done that part. He should have pulled out.
Good. Hold on, no, but seriously, it was before everything.
It was before everything. It was before these drones.
Well, the drones.
I've seen people send me videos of drones and orbs, and they ask me, Pantelis, what's happening? I don't know. I have no idea. Why would I
can
know?
tell you. Well, my operating theory on the orbs is that it's actually just weather balloons, and I'm not trying to be funny, like glare that people don't appreciate when you put your iPhone up to the sky, and there's a sort of a refraction from the sun. I saw some of the orbs just spinning around. That's just when you zoom in on something.
I think you've been compromised by the deep state, and you're covering up for them.
No, the drones. I mean, the drones are drones, and I believe it's American intelligence drones looking.
What are they looking for?
I believe they're looking for radiological footprints. They're sniffing out. That's what I believe. That theory from the guy who
I saw
Rogan
that
played
too.
that clip.
Yeah,
for.
Rogan played that clip. Let's say that's real. Okay.
Yeah.
Should we be nervous of a nuclear bomb?
Any more nervous than usual? No. And by the way, I just so no one's thinking I'm just copying what I saw on Rogan. That was my theory from before because we have a beautiful locals community.
Yeah.
And they were, the aggregate knowledge of 100 and some odd thousand people who are smart and above average. You get to the more logical, plausible explanations. Implausible is that the government has no idea what it is.
No,
it's
the drones are obviously military. They even have the lighting for the.
Yeah, they have FAA compliant lighting.
Yeah.
The idea that they're coming off a mothership off the East Coast is outlandish, ridiculous. Like no one would have seen on the radar.
Was that what they said?
That was what a Republican guy from New York. I forget exactly who it was. He came out and said, I can confirm that they're Iranian drones made in China coming off a mothership off the East Coast. I mean, it was so outlandishly stupid. And this was early on, so maybe he was on bad intel. Then I had some people DMing me saying that they're coming out of the ocean.
I heard that too. That's insane.
I think that's also implausible. Although they do have drones that are like, the ones that you can land them on water. They become sort of not submersibles, but they become like boats.
Maybe the orbs are coming out of the ocean. If the orbs are actual extraterrestrials, or as our good friend Alex Jones says, interdimensional beings.
Look, there's nothing that is so preposterous to write off as impossible, but it's a matter of probabilities now. Well, like when people say like they could be temporal beings, it's like, oh, that's crazy. And then you want to describe to someone how a human baby is made and say that sounds less crazy. Oh yeah, a man puts a thing into a woman, squirts out some juice, and then a baby grows in her belly and gets fed off the umbilical cord from the inside of the mother. That sounds alien.
Is that how I've been misinformed? Is that how it's done?
Who was that? I was telling my
putting
kid,
it in the wrong hole.
A seed in a woman, liquid, turns into a baby. All right,
that's amazing.
It's crazy to the point where you say like, oh, and you think time travel is or wormholes are impossible. But the drones, it's clearly, I don't think it's foreign intelligence because they wouldn't necessarily be FAA compliant. They would not be difficult to take down. That they haven't been taken down is the indication that they don't want to take them down, period. And it's an indication that people are, not eager to take them down. People not taking down the drones. It's not that, an indication that it's intelligence versus foreign, but the fact that U.S. intelligence is not taking down a frickin' drone means that they don't want to, not that they can't.
So you're telling me do not worry about the drones?
I worry about what it represents, because I do think they're sniffing something out. Not a nuke. Like there was a whole video of this nuclear warhead that went missing in from Ukraine, when it was from Russia back in the 80s. The nuke is sort of the ultimate pinnacle of fear, but it's not the most realistic or even necessary one. You could just have a bag of radiological waste. You heard the story of a container coming in off New Jersey for medical stuff. It was a medical machine missing its radiological material. You heard about that?
No, I did not.
Okay, I forget what it was. It had to do with like cancer screening or something. The shipment comes in and it's missing the thing that is like what's the word, radiological or radioactive. It's missing a component that could be, in theory, turned into a dirty bomb, hypothetically, potentially. So I'm not worried about a nuclear warhead.
I heard of disgusting things coming out of New Jersey, but it was the cast of Jersey Shore.
I got even dirtier jokes than that, or at least politically more incorrect for New Jersey. No, so I think they're sniffing something out. You've got an open border. People focus a lot on the Mexican border, but you know how
it's a funner border.
No, well, yeah,
it's a way funner border.
Tenfold.
They're dancing out there. It's hot. It's a way funner border than this one.
It's fun, but when it comes from terrorist threats, actually the Canadian border is exponentially more problematic for America.
Brag.
I mean, you heard that as well.
I heard. I have. Well, they're not my buddies anymore. I haven't seen them in years. But I knew guys I grew up with that got arrested, and they did time. One of them had to do time in Vermont because they were smuggling immigrants across the border from Canada to the States. And one of them got caught, I guess, when he was on the other side. So he was sent to a prison in a country that he's not even a citizen of. For months.
Smuggling them, like walking them over the border, or like in the trunks of cars?
I think it was in cars. But I don't know. But that's the thing I never understood. When my guy had got out of jail and I went to talk, people got mad at me because I made jokes. And it turned like about stuff that may have happened to him in prison, and then it turned out that it did.
It did.
So everyone was like, "That's not funny." I was like, "That's hilarious." And like, no, it really happened to him. And I was like, I had no idea.
If there's not an element of truth in a joke, it's just not funny.
Yeah,
but,
I was like, I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea. I just thought it would be funny. Like, no, it happened to him. He's traumatized. And yeah.
I can't. I had a colonoscopy, and I had a doctor who was not friendly, but who was not delicate, checking my prostate, and that was like, I knew it was coming, and it was still
they checked his prostate several times a day.
Holy shit!
That's what happens when you talk a lot of shit. You just go see the doctor.
On the lighter note of the terrorist infiltration. So I mean,
say this. I'm going to say it happens. Is what I'm saying. I knew people who would smuggle people from north to the south.
Well, yeah, no, but the encounters of people on terror watch lists was tenfold coming from Canada to the U.S. versus Mexico to the U.S. And so you just assume you've got. We'll get into the Canadian side, but you got a Canadian immigration policy that's allowing for record numbers of foreign students with obviously minimal checks. The encounter of people on terror watch lists from Canada to the U.S. exponentially higher than Mexico to the U.S. And then you got drones, and it's in areas that are relevant to Donald Trump as well. In New Jersey, which is a very big hub for port traffic. No, it only makes sense if they're looking for something. Why do they do it at night? Less traffic. Less vehicle traffic,
Makes
less
sense.
pedestrian traffic, and you can get a little lower. Why they wouldn't disable the lights, I don't know. But that's the best theory. The most implausible thing is that they can't take them down if they wanted to.
Yeah, if they know what it is and it's theirs, I don't give a shit. You're allowed. You got to monitor your skies. You got to see what's happening. But I was in New York 2 weeks ago. I love and hate New York. I love New York because it's New York. You do whatever you want. Like everything's available. I hate New York because it's the epitome of a big modern city. It's just anarchy everywhere, but it's fucking New York. It's fun. That's a real city. A real city is New York. If anybody talks shit, oh, it's too much, that's what a city is. You like a modern city, it's New York, baby. However, when I was there, it wasn't as happening as it is right now. I saw there was a woman that was set on fire in the subway.
Set on fire.
That didn't happen when I was there.
No. It's I'm not a stand-up comic, so I can't get away making these jokes. But like I was going to say, Hochul should run a new ad campaign and say, "New York subway, it's lit."
It is.
It was by all accounts right now, and you have to be careful in the early stages of the news. It's
I saw it was a Guatemalan guy.
Guatemalan. I was going to say Nicaraguan. Guatemalan. Obviously, I mean, in what
I think he's mental.
Obviously, anybody who sets somebody on fire, like there's only
and then stays there.
And
then he got out of
watches,
the train. He was
watches
just
the
sitting.
work. Like he sits there. With the video that we saw, you see a guy sitting on a bench. You see another guy filming. Nobody's doing jack shit. The cop wasn't doing anything. There's apparently no for all the National Guard on the subway, they have no fire extinguishers.
So I have a question. I don't know if you saw. I never saw the beginning of the video.
I don't think you see him setting her on fire.
That's what I'm wondering because. Do we have evidence that he did do it? And the other thing is, was she conscious?
She was apparently sleeping, so I presume she might have been a homeless person.
Okay, what about the whole stop, drop, and roll thing?
If you saw the video, it's horrific. She's just leaning against the post, not doing anything, and nobody's doing anything.
So that I don't understand. That's
I don't understand.
I don't want to. I've never seen it from the beginning because I just assumed she was on the floor. Maybe he knocked her out. But if she's standing up on fire, how do you not notice yourself being on fire?
Well, first, I mean, I presumed I don't know. She might have been she might have been sleeping for other reasons or on drugs. I don't know.
So was she standing up on the pole or sleeping?
The video that I saw, by the time the recording is recording, she's sort of like standing up and just it's I thought it was a case of self-immolation. I thought the person set themselves on fire based on how they were not doing anything to put out the fire.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then you see the guy sitting there, and I was like, oh, so he's not getting involved because this person set themselves on fire. Then you find out that the guy that's sitting there on the bench, quietly watching the fruits of his labor, is the one who set her on fire. Nobody's doing anything to stop, drop, and roll, throw a blanket on her, suppress that fire. She's just sitting there like stunned, shocked, burning to death. And she dies. And then the guy goes off and the cops are looking for the perpetrator who was there the entire time, and nobody did anything to prevent this, because if somebody does something to prevent it, and then God forbid the person who's going to set a woman on fire dies, they're going to charge that guy with murder.
My opinion is we should not be criticizing Guatemalan culture this much.
You make there's going to be, I mean, the jokes, I say the cynical, very politically incorrect jokes write themselves at this point. But
it's just what bugs me is what you said, and you're 100% right, is that had someone done something, we would have seen the spin of, why are they attacking this Guatemalan tourist?
No, like it would have been racialized had someone done something, and God forbid it ended in the Guatemalan guy dying. Let's just say he got suffocated from a chokehold.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, he didn't commit any violence that day. I mean, I don't know what the criminal record of this guy is, but apparently, I think there was some reporting that, I don't know if there were any requests to deport. But we don't know if this guy's got a criminal record as lengthy as Jordan Neely, for example.
Well, who was Jordan Neely?
Neely was the black guy. I mean, the race is irrelevant in all of this to me because nothing was racial about it. But he was the black guy that got choked. Out. Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know the full story. Just because the articles just say this racist got away with killing a black guy.
So I don't want to get mistaken on the names. There's Daniel Penny in this particular case, because there's another one in Texas who similar names, Perry, and he got convicted. Daniel Penny is a Marine. People say ex-Marine, but I've been corrected that you're never an ex-Marine. You're always a Marine. He intervened when this Michael Jackson impersonator on the streets was
getting beat up.
No, it was out of his gourd on a metro car or a subway car, as they call them there.
Okay,
threatening to kill people. He's like, I'm going to kill someone. Someone's going to jail today. Give me food. Give me whatever. Someone's going to die. I don't care if I go to jail for the rest of my life.
So not a tactic?
No. And they don't know, but this guy has a long history of actual unprovoked assaults on women in the New York subway system. 3 within 3 years.
Okay, he's a fucking cool-ass dude.
But if you ask AOC...
Who doesn't take shit.
No, he doesn't. Yes, by unprovoked assaults on women, he
doesn't take shit from these yappy broads. He's just a cool dude. Call it what it is.
A history of violence.
Okay.
But nobody knows that on the metro car, which is sort of like their defense. Yeah, he was a violent criminal, but you didn't know that when you choked him out. Excuse me. Daniel Penny subdues him with a chokehold, and he ends up dying. Now, the news of the day when it happened was he choked him to death. It turned out, at least according to the evidence in the trial, where he went to trial even though he should not have been, but he was acquitted, that Neely, the man who had a lengthy, violent criminal history, was still breathing after the chokehold was released, and they didn't apply life-saving. Yeah, I don't know what it was, CPR.
I have one question. The chokehold came because of the threats, or he actually tried to attack someone?
Well, he was acting in a manner that it would be technically assault by the law. Like, you don't have to actually hit someone for it to be assault.
Yeah.
He was threatening to kill people on the metro car.
But he hadn't touched anyone. And this guy's like, let me just make sure.
He was, whether or not he was acting erratically, I don't think he had struck anybody before the chokehold.
Just making sure.
Yeah. And so the Marine puts him in a chokehold. The guy dies. He was not initially charged, Daniel Penny, because everyone on the metro car was like, yeah, we all felt scared and he saved us. Then it comes out that the guy actually, Jordan Neely, had a lengthy criminal record. But the photo they run is, like his graduation when he was 13 years old. It wasn't. It was like him dressed up like Michael Jackson. So he looked like a harmless Michael Jackson-esque.
Well, he's committing identity theft at that point. It's fraud.
No, it's like you think of Michael Jackson, you don't think of a woman beater.
Yeah.
So they run this.
You do think of a dude who just likes hanging out with kids, just loves the circus.
You think of a great many things, but you do not think of a violent assaulter on women.
Yeah.
So he was not originally charged. Then AOC and the race baiting mob said, no, this is no justice, no peace, and they killed him because he's black, and this is New York where you could just execute a black man on the street. This is what they literally said.
That's a bad thing to say.
I had on a guy named Pastor Ben, and if you've never seen him, it's Benjamin P. Dixon on Twitter, and we had a
good dude.
I wouldn't call him a bad dude, but if you saw his Twitter feed, you'd think he's an Al Sharpton on steroids. To the point where I thought he was a parody account, because the day of the acquittal, says, "Great, now MAGA is looking for any excuse to kill black men on the streets." I was like,
"Is that what you wrote?"
And I was like, "Dude, you have to be parody. This can't be a real account." He came on. We had a 3-hour discussion. I think a lot of his stuff is performative, but I still think he's sincere in his beliefs in that he's an Al Sharpton on steroids. But that was, the sentiment was that this was like evidence that white MAGA could kill black people. And I was like, there was nothing racially motivated about this, but they ran with those headlines at the time. AOC said, this is terrible. And then they pressed charges finally. It was called second-degree manslaughter and negligent homicide. One was punishable by 14 years, both felonies. 14 years for the, I want to say negligent homicide is 14 years. And then, negligent homicide was 4 years. And the manslaughter charge was 14 years maximum.
Well, you can't just kill people.
You can't just kill people. Well, first of all, you can if it's in legitimate self-defense.
Yeah.
But he didn't intend to kill him. I'm not even sure that he was the contributor or the causal factor of his death. But Penny went to trial, and he got acquitted on both charges after some serious bullshit that was trying to be pulled by the judge to secure a conviction on the lesser charge. You didn't hear this. Dude, it's like when I'm immersed in all of this, I just take for granted everybody knows. He was charged with two charges. One was the manslaughter, and then the lesser and included, which was negligent homicide, I think. So I might be wrong on the terms, but that's the idea. And the jury was deadlocked, or at least hung, on the heavier charge, the 14 years in jail. So they deliberated for 3 days, and then the judge issues what's called an Allen order, and basically says, go back and really come to a decision. It's sort of like a twisting your arm to convict.
That's fine.
That's not the dirty part. Then they don't come to a unanimous decision on the heavier charge. So the prosecution says, we'll dismiss that charge. And then the judge says, don't tell the jury that the dismissal is tantamount to an acquittal. Because if they understand that he's been acquitted on the first charge, or the prosecution withdrew the first charge, they might be more amenable to acquit on the second charge because they're saying, look, the prosecution doesn't believe in the case.
Why is he getting involved like that? Isn't that not his job?
It was on a motion by the prosecution to which the judge said, yeah, I'll take a chance with their theory. I'll allow them to dismiss the charge without the consent of the defendant, which means it's tantamount to the case, the prosecution pulling the charge.
But what
double
theory?
jeopardy.
Isn't this on video?
It's on video, and then people look at it and say, oh, yeah, it's a white man killing a black man with impunity, and others say it's a man intervening to prevent someone from being set on fire, stabbed, or beaten on a subway. Anyway, so the bottom line is Daniel Penny was acquitted on both charges, or he was at least, the top charge was dismissed, and then they ultimately ended up acquitting him on the negligent homicide. And, but for his life having been ruined for the last year, he's a free man now.
So are the whites now winning the race war?
The irony is that one of the guys who intervened to help Daniel Penny and the other one recording it were black.
Yeah,
the people on the metro station were minorities. Like, he was protecting.
Jokes aside, this is all stupid. I hate it when it gets like, it has nothing to do with race. That's like saying if it was a white guy punching women, everyone would be like, yeah, punch these broads. No one would be okay with that.
And if it would have been a black man on a white man and the same outcome, I don't think. I mean, I say that actually out loud, but maybe some people would racialize it.
Yeah, you're always going to find the people that just go to race right away.
Because it's first of all, it's like, when in a country that's never been more racially divided in the States, and here people just look for that angle. But the bottom line, there was nothing racial about it. It was a man doing what men should do, but I'm not even sure that I would do it myself, because I'm not risk A, getting stabbed to death, or B, getting locked up for 14 years because I decided to be brave and protect people who don't want to protect themselves.
Canada wasn't that. When I was growing up, I don't remember, like, it wasn't a big thing, racial stuff. Like, everyone was like, oh, we're all Canadian.
Until Trudeau.
Now it's very divisive. And I don't know if you saw the statistics. We have Canada has the second most, it's the country that has the most Indians outside of India.
Indian Indians, not native
Indians.
Indians.
For me,
I've seen
we're the country that has the most Indians outside of India, which for anyone that's been to like Brampton, Ontario, is a shock to hear that there's still Indians in India. It's shocking.
It is. So my life experience has been the same. Like I was a child of the 90s. We had black friends, Asian friends. Nobody saw race.
Yeah, now it's become...
It was... In Canada, it's been since Trudeau, but I think Trudeau was picking up on the Obama effect in the States. When I noticed racial politics getting exacerbated, it was 2008 with Obama, where everything became about race.
I don't remember when it started, but I do know that there's a shift. 'Cause I still find it ridiculous, but it's still happening. But I remember there was a shift. At one point, I was like, what does that matter? I'm like, well, this guy is Asian, and this guy's like, what do you care? The hell does that matter?
It started really with Obama, where every criticism of Obama was deemed to be racist. So say he wasn't born in America, it was racist. Whereas, to me, that's just a nationalist in the good sense, or at least, assuring compliance with the law. But no, when Obama became president or started running, every attack on Obama was deemed to be racist, and then he weaponized that into 8 years of presidency. Whereas you would think that having had the first black, I'm still saying half black because he's also half white, president, you'd think that would be, better for racial harmony. When in reality, that's when it really hit steroids, racial division in the States. And then Trudeau says, I pick up on that divide and conquer and import it to Canada.
Yeah, I don't know why he's doing shit like that, but he's done.
Well, the news is he's done. You Canadians know about the stats on immigration, but like now it's 1 in 4 Canadians was born outside of Canada.
Yeah.
1 in 5 members of parliament born outside of Canada. All the while simultaneously telling you that the Great Replacement Theory is a racist conspiracy.
Can you explain the Great Replacement Theory for people like me who don't understand?
Well, the Great Replacement Theory is that it's been weaponized into being a racial theory, but I've said all along it's a political theory and it's a reality. It's a strategy, not a theory. Importing the vote that they can't get from the natives. On the one hand,
yes, okay.
basically it's importing the replacement, political, ideological, and human replacement of the current population. And the way it works, it's sinister in a way that you can't possibly imagine. Please.
I will say something as a Greek. Yeah, they did this here because in Quebec, I know for a fact that there was referendums held. Quebec was very angry with Canada, and they're like, we want to separate. We're going to do it democratically. We're going to hold a referendum. I know, being a Greek, I know that we were told when I was young, and I wasn't able to vote. I was young, but I know the older Greeks you can ask. They all kind of had to vote at the time against it because they were being told that if the referendum goes through, you're a second-class citizen, you're getting thrown out, you're losing your rights. It was like fear-mongering, vote, vote, vote. And most of Greeks I know, it was for years was you have to vote liberal. You have to vote liberal. You have to vote for this is the party that's going to protect you. The rest hate you, that type of stuff. And it's not just me. I have spoken to other people who are immigrant families that it was the same thing. You just vote based on party, not on politics. So even if it's better for you, if they say you're going to save on tax, it doesn't matter. You're voting on this or else it's bad. So I know for a fact that they do that with immigrants.
There's zero question. First of all, I remember the second referendum, it was either 95 or 96.
Yeah. That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, for
I was
sure.
in elementary.
I was 16 years old. I couldn't vote. There was a big protest downtown, and school was let out. Oh, I was at an Anglo private high school, my number 3 of 3 schools. And I remember instead of going to the protest, I went to watch a great cinematic classic, Powder.
Oh, remember Powder? The bald white kid.
But yeah, no.
Is that the guy who had like powers?
Yeah, he got struck by lightning or something. He was pure energy. That was the point of the movie.
Yeah. Back in the day, science wasn't a thing.
And back in the day, good movies. There were good movies in the 90s. That was a bad movie.
A good movie about powder was called Blow. That was a good movie.
That was with
Johnny
Depp, the drug dealing movie.
Yes, with Penelope Cruz.
I have to go watch that.
So
one again.
good.
I remember those degenerate drug movies.
Yeah.
No, but so the Great Replacement is, first of all, the referendum. It's true. Like, and then I remember who was it? Parisot, who said we blame this on the money and the immigrants.
He said the immigrant vote. But it did sound like he said the immigrants, the immigrant vote. But when you look back, technically he was right. It was the immigrant vote.
He was right.
He was 100% right.
It's who's going to Anglos, allophones, and people who don't,
people who are scared.
Want a French country of a province. But no, the Great Replacement is a reality pursuant to which they are. Do you know what percentage of population growth is driven by immigration?
In Canada or in
Canada? Let's say Canada the last 4 years.
I think it's super high.
Yeah, 97%.
That's
so what it is
stupid.
It's a conspiracy theory, but it's a political necessity because Canadians aren't having enough kids naturally. The Canadian government's killing Canadians at a rate that is rivaling only Brussels, I think, or Belgium.
You talking about MAID?
Maids. I call it murder, but they call it.
Can
maids.
you explain MAID? Because people, I've talked about it, and people on the videos on TikTok, they're getting mad at me. They're like, "Stop lying! It's not a real thing." It is a real thing.
It's not just a real. So this is the idea of the Great Replacement: is that the population is not growing, and so you need to import the required elements to populate a country to allow the infrastructure to continue running.
But why are we killing the locals?
Killing the local. Anybody who says, first of all, it's not that MAIDs is not happening. They're proud of the degree to which it's happening, or at least not ashamed. MAIDs, medical assistance in dying, which is euthanasia. It's what the Nazis used to call mercy killings because we want to see where they want to expand it to in Canada involves mentally ill people, drug addicts.
Mentally ill. We can't kill every communist in the country. That's crazy.
But this is the irony. People who can't consent contractually to something are going to consent contractually to being killed by the state. Medical assistance in dying.
I thought it's only if you're in pain.
Pain from a terminal illness.
Yeah.
What
I didn't know it's because you're mental.
What has been expanded to is not even a terminally ill individual, mental illness, because if it's incurable, and they want to expand it to minors, and they want to expand it to, there was another one. Oh, they polled Canadians, something like a third are okay with expanding it to homelessness. Maids.
What do you mean expanding it to homelessness?
You can't deny people the right to decide to opt out of this life because the government can't provide what they need to provide for them.
Hold on. So if a homeless guy, can I grab him off the street and be like, let's kill him? Or he has to come in himself?
I think technically he's got to say, I want to die, and 2 doctors have to sign off and say, yeah, he can fit the criteria. Medical assistance in dying is so egregiously...
But you could get them drunk and high enough to agree to that.
Well, especially now that they legalized hard drugs in British Columbia and then expand MAIDs to drug addiction, or at least they're talking about it.
By the way, I was in Vancouver. I saw the East Hastings, the street. That's not an exaggeration. It's like The Walking Dead.
It was bad when I was there in 2001.
When I was there was a fire. I was driving by, there was just a fire and like 80 crackheads running around in those ambulance. It looked like you ever heard of the game GTA, Grand Theft Auto?
Oh, yeah.
It was like a GTA server online. It was crazy.
No, but for anybody who questions how bad medical assistance in dying has been abused in Canada, it accounts for 4.2% of the death in Canada. That's like top 5 causes of death. You've got Alzheimer's, dementia, heart disease, cancer, and government-assisted suicide.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
4.2%. In Quebec, I want to say it was the 3rd leading cause of death at one point. And then the Daily Mail reported on it, and they say, yeah, we better stop. We better pull back on our killing of our citizens.
Who are we killing?
4.2%. It was 17,000. I don't want to get too wrong on the number. It's between 15 and 18,000 the last year that they reported. Deaths. And I believe that number is wildly underestimated because I don't think they count like the morphine overdoses, the hospital type, allow them to basically over-medicate to death. Okay, so hold on. The why it's so bloody bad is the number and the fact that they offer it in cases where people are not terminally ill, but they offer it where people haven't solicited it. So you remember the story of veterans being offered
I talked
MAIDs.
about it. People got mad at me for just mentioning it.
Wait, but they say it's not happening. Oh, but it's happening, but it's a mistake. Oh, but it's happening and it's good. And shut up, you're a bigot for noticing. They were offering it to veterans, and it broke the news. And then Justin Trudeau was like, "Oh, this was a mistake. It's not supposed to happen." Do you remember the? I don't know if anyone's gonna remember this, but the Simon's ad, and it's called Beauty and Everything.
Oh, yes, where they talk about euthanasia, and then they pulled it.
Jennifer, the woman who was the subject of that story.
So we brought that up when it first happened, and I think you had, and then Poseidon brought it up, and they were saying to us, it's a fake ad, stop showing it, and it was actually real. And then you came on the podcast, and you brought it up again, and then Poseidon at the time was very angry, not with you, but in general. He's like, I told you it was real.
Not only was it real, the woman in the ad, and it's Jennifer with a Y. I just remember the first name. It came out after she took her own life with the assistance of government that she didn't want to die. And then she said, I feel like I'm falling through the cracks. If I can't get health care, at least I can get death care.
Oh, my God.
Because and then there was another case of a woman, and everybody can Google this, who was killed by the state because she couldn't get housing that would accommodate her. It was called multiple chemical sensitivity, also known as severe allergies. And the government killed her. And so you know that the abuse of this has gone far and wide when it accounts for the top 5 leading causes of death.
So they wanted to kill themselves and they didn't want to kill themselves. The problem with women is they can't make up their mind, is what you're saying.
No, they couldn't get the health care because the government is just shipping too much money to Ukraine to actually tend to its own citizens. So the government says, we can't care for you in life, but we can care for you in death. So how about we kill you? Kayla Pollock, you've heard her story?
No.
Kayla Pollock, a Canadian woman from Ontario, rendered a quadriplegic from a Moderna booster after 2 Pfizer shots. Straight up gets the shot within, I want to say 72 hours.
They told us, Trudeau came out and said there's perfectly safe.
Well, but then he also said, sure, there'll be some accidents here and there. It was transverse myelitis, I think is what she got. She's paralyzed from the neck down within 3 days.
That's horrible.
Doctors are telling her it's in her head. Another doctor tells her, I know what it is, and I bet you it's from this, or my assessment is from the jab.
The jab.
She got it on recording. The government can't cater to her needs as a quadriplegic. She was offered MAIDs 3 times, at least at the last time I spoke with her. Unsolicited, hey, your life is going to be shit because we can't take care of you.
You want to kill yourself?
Can we kill you? It's obscene. So anybody who doesn't understand what's going on with MAIDs in Canada, it's an absolute horrendous atrocity to the point where even Forbes published an article saying this echoes Nazi-era policy.
I will say something, because there's a lot of shit talking that happens on both ends about the Canadian and the American healthcare system. The Canadian healthcare system, as far as Quebec is concerned, I'm going to speak on behalf of my home here. Another person just died a few days ago, a man, young man.
39.
Just a handsome dude. Because he was waiting at the emergency room, they didn't take it serious. I think he had an aneurysm and just died. 2 weeks ago, there was another guy, same thing, 36 hours emergency room, died. So our system of people keep saying, well, it's technically free and it's amazing. And in the U.S., you need money. And here it's not better because you just wait to die.
Well, but, okay.
So in the States, I do understand that with the insurance companies, first of all, criminal what they do. The insurance companies are not any better. The insurance companies, they try to get away with everything. It is criminal. However, in the States, if you do have insurance, you're going to get fucking served.
You will not die. Well, I mean, I'll say you won't die in the ER.
So I feel like the good is somewhere in between.
Well, no, the good is definitely somewhere in between. And having lived through both, I can tell you that neither are perfect.
Yeah.
But unequivocally, if you can afford it, the American system is better.
Yeah.
And then people are going to say, well, then that's unfair to people who can't afford it. On the one hand, it's not free healthcare in Canada. So anybody saying it's free, you're wrong. You're paying for it.
And it's not good. I'm paying for something I can't even use.
You're paying for something that's shit that is not even offered to you in your time of need.
Yeah.
So understand this. And I had on...
It's kind of like the insurance companies in the States. You pay into it, and then they try to make every excuse to not help you.
The insurance company in the States, there's other issues. It's not really being allowed to die in the ER. That's the biggest one. You'll be in massive debt, and then you have to figure that out afterwards, which is a problem.
But you're going to be alive.
You'll be alive. Like they do not deny life-saving treatment to people if they're uninsured, period. The issue, though, in Canada, and people think it's free. It's not free. Éric Duhaime, the leader of the Quebec Conservative Party.
He invited himself to my French podcast. He's going to come next month.
Fantastic person to have on. I had him on a while back, and he's explaining, the numbers they get a little fudgy, but it's either like 25 to 50% of every tax dollar spent goes to the healthcare system. So hypothetically, you make $100,000 a year, and we'll just keep the numbers round to make it easy to understand. $50,000 goes to taxes.
Yeah.
$25,000 goes to the healthcare system. So it's not free. Then come time that you need the healthcare system, you're waiting 12 hours in an ER.
12 hours? What are you? That's luxury.
It's a luxury. You don't have a GP. When I left Canada, I didn't have a GP, and I wasn't going to be able to get one for another 18 months. And so you're paying up front if you pay taxes. You don't have a GP? I had an interim at some point. It was like a sort of a nurse, and she was fantastic. But
I don't have any. I literally, if I feel something weird, then I'll go pay $500 and I'll go get tested.
We didn't have a GP, my wife and I, so we go to this. She's sort of not a nurse practitioner. I forget the term, but in between. And then she was a young, mildly attractive woman. And I'm there with my wife, and she's like, "Do you want me to check your prostate?" And I'm like, "This is awkward." And
you're like, "Yes."
No. That's I'm looking at.
Of course. Let me get this. The old ball and chain out of the room. Fucking
all
boner killer over here.
The lighter side of it is, you're paying up front if you pay taxes, and you can imagine that a quarter of whatever you pay in taxes, you're paying up front to get nothing or shit when you need it, or worse. In the States, you have to pay we're paying $1,600 a month. It's about let's say $1,000 to $1,500 a month for healthcare.
I'm willing to. Since I pay so much, I'm willing to meet the government here in the middle. How about this? Since I pay so much, let me choose who we do the maids to. Let me pick a victim since I paid into it.
No, what you could say, the middle ground would be, let those who have the means get private health insurance, and let those who need the public system go to the public system.
But now it's all mixed into one, so no one gets...
No, and then the argument is that, well, if you allow that, you're going to pull people from the public system to the private system, and that's going to neglect the people in the public system.
They're already neglected.
People do it as a matter of fact in any event. They go to the States, they go to the Mayo Clinic, and they do it anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's shit for everybody, but it's free shit for everybody. No, but in the States, you need a doctor. If you have health insurance or you're covered in work, it works.
Is health insurance super expensive?
It's up. I mean, I'm independent, so we pay it. It's out the wazoo expensive.
It's crazy, huh?
But I still think it's cheaper than if we make a commensurate salary in Canada and pay taxes. I still think it comes to less.
Well, here they take half your money.
45, what is it, 40, up to 47% when you get up to
Quebec
the past
is crazy. No, Quebec
100,000.
is nuts. Yeah,
it's nuts.
Because people, I'd be okay with, I would never be okay with it. Taxation is theft. But let's say you could convince me that if you're taking half and I never have to worry about anything, healthcare, I'm fine, public roads are fine, the mentally ill people in the streets are being taken care of, we're not just murdering them, everything's fine. And I'm like, you know what? You could convince me to give half my salary because the world is a better place. but nothing works. The city's breaking down. Montreal, potholes everywhere. Hospital people are dying, waiting in the emergency room. Homeless people are dying in the cold. Like, there's so much wrong. It's like, so why would I pay?
It's terrible. Like I know that I come back with the perspective of like I arrive from Florida, sunny, beautiful, warm Florida. Come down here, gray, cold, dreary. Admittedly, it's winter.
Yeah, that's not a political thing.
The roads are full of the roads are just they're atrocious, except for the one that they just built near the airport, like within the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be destroyed soon too.
Oh, absolutely. Homelessness is through the roof.
Yeah.
The healthcare system is in shambles. So it's true. Like the more you pay, the worse it gets, because they think they have coffers to like continue there's abject corruption, and then there's just political. I'll call it political corruption.
Biggest danger, I think, to society right now is self-driving cars. Because I saw a couple of articles that apparently a car drove itself into a Christmas parade in Germany. It said car drives into Christmas parade. And I'm panicking.
Hold on.
Why do cars not like Christmas?
There were two headlines to that effect. I had to pull up the second
Why are cars so against Christmas? What if it was a holiday parade? Would the car still have ran itself into
the
that
headline,
parade?
by the way, just so it was the Associated Press. A car has driven into a group of people at Christmas market in Germany.
These goddamn cars.
With respect to the woman on the metro who was on the
Haven't
subway.
the Germans been through enough?
Pantelis, it gets worse. The woman on the subway station caught fire.
Oh, by
This is
herself.
from the Daily News. New York PD arrests man. Oh no, that wasn't the headline. The headline was woman dies after she catches fire in Brooklyn subway
It
car.
happens. Sometimes this is what happens. You're sitting there in a subway car, and then you just fire. You just catch fire.
It was so
spontaneous fire.
No, like, it would have been true if she had caught fire if she was like leaning against the heating mechanism
and then she caught fire.
No, a man made her catch fire by dousing her in accelerant.
I mean, these ladies always need a man to help them out.
And then someone goes to jail if they do. No, the system is broken. I mean, it's broken in the States, but less broken. It's broken here irreparably. At the same time that you have people literally unable to get health care, dying in the ER, the government comes in and says it's cheaper to kill you. And there was a CBC ran an article 2017 or 2019. Must have been 2019, saying, don't worry about euthanasia. It might actually save the healthcare system.
I saw that. I saw
Billions
some
of
best.
dollars. And then
If we kill half of you, we could afford to fix the rest of you. It's a good deal.
As a matter of people who may not know that I was a lawyer for a long time, and in Quebec, in Quebec and Canada to a lesser degree also, they say it's cheaper to kill someone than it is to injure them. Because if you injure someone in law, you got to pay for their permanent disability for the rest of their life. Death, it's like a one-time payment. You're off free. Same thing is true of healthcare. It's cheaper to kill people than it is to treat them. And after you've had Kayla Pollock, who was rendered a quadriplegic based on a government-mandated vaccine, or so-called, I think we can call it a therapeutic now.
It is. It's a gene therapy.
Yeah, well, no, especially the House Sub-Select Committee on the Coronavirus Pandemic in the States came out and said, conclusion, it's more therapeutic than anything, and it's a therapeutic at reducing your lifespan.
How come no one's apologizing, like officially, be like, "Yo, we was wrong"?
Well, let's wait until January 20th when RFK's in charge of the HHS.
Can I just say something quick about RFK, about our good buddy RFK? What I love about him is he's out there. He's like, "Listen, we gotta stop poisoning the kids. There's too much sugar. There's all these toxins. We gotta stop. We gotta go back to natural stuff." And then people are coming out like, "Look at this fucking retard." He's literally saying, stop poisoning your kids. And you're coming out and saying, look at this conspiracy theorist. You're telling me my 400-pound 12-year-old has a problem? This is insane. It's like I'm living in the Matrix. Like, how are people mad at him?
It's partisan politics to the point of what Gad Sad calls suicidal empathy. I call this like suicidal tendencies. They are so set in their cultish beliefs and cult of hatred that they say, yeah, he's saying this, but he's a hypocrite because he ate McDonald's. He's a hypocrite because when he was a kid, he did drugs, or younger, he did drugs. I mean, okay, good. He's a hypocrite. Don't follow his advice. Be fat and die.
Yeah.
But he's 1,000% right about everything, though.
Don't poison yourself. Shut up, old man. I'll poison whatever the fuck I want. I saw you smoking.
They want to fight. They want to fight for the dyes in Cheerios that we don't have in Canada. Like my wife came back in November. It's like, I'm gonna go test out this RFK's crazy man theory, and the ingredients, sure enough, are different. We use like a natural food coloring for the reds, whereas in the States you don't. And people are so bent on political destruction over their own well-being that they go down that path. But wait until you see what happens in January 2025 when RFK is head of HHS, Bhattacharya is head of NIH, hopefully Kash Patel is head of FBI, and you have investigations into people who committed criminal fraud, in my humble opinion.
Well, let's see what's going to happen because I don't trust the deep state. I mean, RFK, they assassinated most of his family.
Yeah.
So he should be a little nervous. That's a good impression of him.
Do you know Tyler Fisher?
No.
Tyler Fisher's a stand-up comic. He does an impression of RFK.
It's amazing.
It's impeccable.
I love a good impression.
Where the hell did RFK just come from? But I said, like, it's got to hurt your vocal cords to do that because he's like, yeah, I force it. And then he's like, whenever I do it, people are like, you can't do this. Like, why can't I do it? I'm trying to sound like the guy that I'm trying to sound like. You see, like if I'm going to do like a
blackface thing.
No.
Listen, if my leader can do it, you can do it too. Blackface, it's a thing.
All that to say, what the hell were we just talking? RFK coming into power. Oh, the deep state. That you don't think they're going to let this be a...
No, I hope that they don't get too involved because they're known. I don't know if you know this. They're known for killing people they don't like.
No. The main thing that hadn't happened was the earth-shattering, I don't know, future timeline trajectory altering moment when Trump moved his head. Like we haven't seen each other since then.
That's so crazy.
And I was thinking, like I say, I'm coming back to Canada now. Trump's going to be, well, he is the president-elect. He, God willing, you know, they don't do anything stupid between now and January 20th. The alternate universe in which we're living, where Trump doesn't move his head. And have you ever seen the slow-mo video of the watermelon getting shot?
That's what would have happened.
Okay, that's what would have happened. I mean, and in the most horrifying sense, I was going to, like, you know, put out a meme, not a meme, but like just say, like, this is what they want. Even that would be too graphic to visualize. In that realm where that was broadcast and that dude from the New York Times, whatever photographer, catches that at 1/8,000th of a second, and you have 40 still frames of President Trump dying the most horrific death, the world that we'd be living in right now, would involve World War III worldwide. That would have been the Franz Ferdinand shot that caused World War I on steroids.
That would have destroyed America.
There would have been violence in America. I was driving to the RNC, and we're driving to Wisconsin when it happened. We stop in somewhere near Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I go for a jog, and I come back, and my wife is like, did you hear what happened? I was like, I didn't hear what happened. And I watch, and at that time, we didn't know if he was all right. We saw that he got up and walked off, but I'm like, if he you know, it's possible that he got, you know, mortally wounded, but didn't know it at the time. He was still bleeding, whatever. And I was like, at that moment, I was sitting there thinking, like, I could be not recruited to a militia. That would be an earth-shattering enough event for me as a Canadian to say, this is the cause now that I will take up
there's something wrong
with my existential future. And that it didn't turn into that. And that by the grace of whatever divine intervention, he survives the second one.
And
gets
do
elected.
we have a motive now for the first one? What was the reason?
We know more about who was the recent shooting in the States. This kid, they
the Christian school?
No, before the Christian school there was one, and I made the comment that, like, we know more about this shooter than we do about the guy that shot Crooks. Jeez Louise, I can't remember.
Because the first guy that shot Trump and then killed someone in the
Corey Camperatori.
Then they blew his head off.
They shot him. What's the word when when you cremate a body? They
cremated him?
Yeah, within like before they could do toxicology reports.
Why?
I understood. I think to destroy evidence, obviously, but they cremated the body. Never charged the parents. You remember, like, Crumbly, the Michigan parents whose kid shot up the school. No. The family was called Crumbly. It was in Michigan where the kid committed a mass shooting. They went after and convicted the parents of
negligence,
something criminal negligence, or because they got him the gun and they went after the parents and convicted the parents.
Yeah, if my kid's depressed and he's thinking of killing people, I'm not going to buy him a gun.
You definitely the smart thing would be not to. But they did.
I got your solution right here, kid. That's crazy.
No, but nonetheless, they did it, and they went after the parents for right or for wrong, however you feel about it. But they didn't go after Crook's parents, the guy who killed Corey Camperatori and tried to shoot President Trump. We know virtually nothing about him. He had encrypted apps or encrypted accounts. We don't know. He was training at a firing range or a shooting range that had intelligence there, like law enforcement. He had been there.
Oh, you think he was like a Manchurian candidate type
I have my own theories that it's. I believe
like MK Ultra type of shit, like the Unabomber,
or what the FBI does. What the FBI does, and they find a vulnerable person and radicalize them, and then allow for a roof to be unsupervised while this kid is going around with freaking what do they call them? Range finders and a bag, and get on the roof. And for 2.5 minutes, people are shooting. There's a guy on the roof, and he gets off 3 or 4 shots and nearly kills. But yeah, sorry, I believe that is all intertwined as part of a let
Maybe
it
you
happen on
just
purpose.
loved Friends and hated The Apprentice.
Wait a minute, do I get that joke? I'm not sure I
He
get
just hated The Apprentice. He's like, nah,
Oh,
nah,
The
nah.
Apprentice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe that there's obviously more with that guy Crooks. The guy in Florida, Ruth, the one who
Oh, the guy on the golf.
the guy on the golf course,
Yeah.
the guy who was recruiting terrorists to join the Ukrainian army for years. Did you know this?
No.
Okay, forget it. I think his name is Ryan Ruth. This guy has a social the fact that Crooks doesn't have a social media footprint. This is the one in Butler, Pennsylvania, should raise everybody's flags. The fact that Ruth, the Florida guy, has a social media presence and it's known. The dude was out fighting or at least allegedly testifying that he's fighting in Ukraine, recruiting people to fight for Ukraine. He was allegedly, not even allegedly, or I guess I should say, he was definitively claiming that he was recruiting terrorists, like going to, I want to say, Iran, to try to recruit soldiers to fight with Ukraine. 2 years ago, he was giving interviews to, I think it was one of the New York...
Is that legal?
Of course it's not legal if
I'm
it's
just
true.
making sure we know the rules.
Not only is it not true, I mean, it's obviously also criminal, but transparently so, because he was giving interviews about this. He was featured in an Azov battalion propaganda video.
Weren't they the Nazis?
The ones who have distinct Banderas Nazi, what's the word, when you admire, admiration.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
they're enthusiasts of the Nazis. They like the clothing, the swastika.
They are enthusiasts as much as that man who fought with the Ukrainian Luftwaffe or whatever it was in World War II had an affiliation to Nazis.
All right.
But this guy Ruth is giving interviews saying how he's trying and open about it, recruiting people to fight with the Ukrainians 2 years ago. It's not like it just happened within a month and they didn't have time. He was a convicted felon. Somehow was flying everywhere, giving these interviews, possessing firearms, had a car with I think stolen plates. Somehow he was also with it for like 12 to 24 hours within the vicinity of Mar-a-Lago, sets up a sniper scope point at an area where they know that there's a weakness in the Mar-a-Lago security because paparazzi used to go there all the time to get shots of the president. So people are going to tell me that they're just lone people who managed to get away with accessing an unprotected roof or openly recruiting for the Ukrainian army, coming back and trying to kill the president, who is overtly anti this war and would put it to an end. I mean, you have to be wildly naive and I would dare say willfully blind to not think that there's something much deeper and much more sinister to these two miraculously failed assassination attempts.
All this to say autonomous vehicles are the danger, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not unchecked immigration and denial of extradition requests to bring back these alleged criminals. This is going back to the German case. Now, as far as we know right now, and it's early-ish, but there's a lot of info that's known, the individual who was behind the car that drove into the crowd was a Saudi doctor, and a Saudi doctor who crashes... He
sounds more Saudi than doctor.
Who crashes his car into Christians buying Christmas trees at a Christmas market at Christmas. And then they call him a far-right extremist, Alternative for Deutschland supporter.
Yeah, they said he hates Islam.
He's an anti-Islam, ex-Muslim atheist. Okay, so
I feel like he hates Christmas more than he hates Islam.
Well, he hates Islam so much he decided to kill Christians. That's how he showed it. So I've been diving into this, and it's also just disgusting that the guy was Saudi asylum seeker and didn't want to go back to Saudi Arabia for obvious reasons. Accused of rape, and whether or not he's just a criminal versus religiously...
Saudi Arabia, difficult place to negotiate.
It's not a place where you'd want to go back to if you got out. Yeah. Especially if you were accused of rape, where you'd probably be punished by death if you were to go back and get punished.
Oh, do they? They frown upon rape?
It depends. I mean, I guess
good for them. I like that. That's progressive.
They were seeking his extradition, so I presume it was to punish him.
Good.
So this guy is in Germany. Extradition request from Saudi Arabia. Germans say, no, we're not going through with it. This guy then, or at least contemporaneously, purports to be an ex-Muslim atheist, also known as an apostate. Apostates are punishable
by death in certain countries.
Punishable by death in Saudi Arabia. So I'm sitting there saying, all right, you idiots in the MSM who want to believe that this Saudi man who killed Christians at Christmas is a supporter of Alternative for the AFD. It's like, you're idiots.
I see what you're saying. So he lied about that, and they believed it. They took it at face value.
He lied about it to counter the request for extradition, presumably, because now they will not extradite to a place where they know he's going to face the death penalty. This is like the reason why many countries didn't extradite, or why they didn't extradite Julian Assange at first.
That's so smart, though. So his extradition was for one of the most heinous of crimes, violent
and then he was involved
assault.
in trafficking, allegedly, while he's in Germany.
So he said, no, the reason why they want me is because I'm not Muslim anymore. But really, he's been Muslim this whole time and super crazy Muslim, hating everyone else. Is that what you're telling me?
That is my operating theory.
I'm not okay with what he did, but that's a smart plan.
He didn't even say like, oh, you can't what's the word, extradite me because I'll get killed. He just said no, I'm an ex-Muslim atheist, and he starts tweeting these idiotic things out like the only God is the Jewish God or the God of Judaism, and I love Israel. I mean, yeah,
that's a good cover story.
It's a great way to contest or to oppose the extradition.
Yeah.
Other people are saying, well, he's a Shia Muslim, and they believe that Sunni Muslims are fake Muslims. So in that sense, you can be a Shia Muslim and still be anti-Muslim because you're anti who you think are fake Muslims.
It's very complex. It's like a soap opera.
Yeah, but bottom line, if he's just an effing criminal, but he obviously is, the only question is whether or not he's a terroristically driven criminal. Germany has blood on their hands for not extraditing this mother effer when he was sought his extradition from by Saudi Arabia.
Wait, he's a doctor, right?
Yeah, I believe he was a psychiatrist, and I've had my theories.
What's going to happen to all his patients right now?
They're thanking. I mean, I don't know. He was working at a German hospital, but I've also said for the longest time, psychiatrists are fucking crazy. But more likely than not, they are the crazy people.
Let's get into it. I want to hear more about this because I think you're correct.
No, I as a practicing lawyer, the joke was always you don't lease to lawyers or doctors, and especially psychiatrists. Psychologists are a little bit more hippy-dippy. Psychiatrists are like fucking crazy people who...
Give me an example. I'm very curious. I
can't give you an example. I might get disowned.
You're a family psychiatrist?
No. No, that's a hard no. The bottom line, their practice consists of diagnosing mental illness and prescribing mental illness, prescribing medications for mental illness.
Yes. Do they get paid?
I don't know if this. I presume there's the same corruption there, but I just say that they are hammers looking for nails, and they tend to be, type A personalities to begin with. Doctors in general, and then there's certain sub caveats within the medical profession who tend to be more psychopathic than others. Psychiatrists, in my experience, they're crazy people. But bottom line. This guy was, if nothing else, a known criminal, openly engaging in allegedly criminal behavior in terms of the trafficking, was reported to the German police by an alleged woman who was a victim. They do nothing, probably because they don't want to be racist, much like what we saw in England with the rape gangs.
Yeah, I saw in Sweden it was the same thing for years, and now Sweden's changed. That's good. Dude, if someone commits a crime, the race should not... You commit a crime, I don't care what race you are, you're going to face the penalty.
The fact that you're letting in people who are accused of crimes. Like I'm currently filing paperwork. If I have a fucking felony, I'm not getting my visa. I'm not getting, certain things because it's a privilege to enter another country. The fact that you could just get in there and claim asylum and nobody does any background check as to your criminality, it's criminal negligence for which the Merkels of the world, I forget who the current prime minister or whatever it is in Germany is, but it's criminal negligence for which the likes of Alejandro Mayorkas need to go to jail after a fair trial.
Can we just say that Alejandro Mayorkas, useless but very cool name?
I can't think of anything cool about that guy. I look at that guy and I feel like he smells bad. How much I hate him.
But name, very cool.
Alejandro Mayorkas. Yeah, unfortunately it's going to be synonymous with dereliction of duty and murder and criminality.
What's Trump allowed to do legally? Like when he takes power, can he step in? Because the first time he said he was going to drain the swamp, he didn't drain it.
The first time, you have to hope that he has learned from his mistakes the first time around. The first time around, I don't think there was such a populist movement to keep him in check. Or I said not to keep him in check, but rather to make sure that he didn't make certain mistakes. In 2016, I remember there were people saying he's making bad cabinet picks. He's not firing the people that need to get fired.
Yeah.
And I remember them because one of them is Robert Barnes, the guy that I've been with, been legally dating, or at least having our show since 5 years now. But he was saying it back in the like you gotta like have a what do they call it, Sunday bloodbath? What is it called when Nixon came in and just fired everybody?
Like a St. Valentine's Day massacre.
Yeah, I don't want to use any hyperbolic terminology that can be taken out of context.
Murder,
mass firing,
beheadings,
political employment. No, he made big mistakes his first time around, and he's got a massive spotlight to make sure that he doesn't do it again the second time. And so he appointed Chad Chronister as was it DEA?
Chad.
And Chad Chronister was a COVID tyrant who went after pastors for defying lockdowns.
Oh, fuck
and
that
we
guy.
put him on social media blast, and he withdrew his name.
Oh, good.
So I think Trump, what can he do this time is not make bad picks. And he's so far made very good picks, but understand that you cannot negotiate with the devil, period.
Yeah.
And so the first time around, I think he, in good faith, It's not. Some people call it narcissism. I think he just assumes that people want to negotiate for their best interest, and sometimes the devil doesn't. Sometimes the devil just wants to negotiate for abject destruction. And so he comes in and says, "Look, they may say they hate me, but they'll love me, and we can negotiate." No, everything they did was to take him down. Everything that he conceded was one step forward for them to take him down, and he won't make that same mistake again. So get rid of the criminals and get in people who are going to go after the criminals. Get in Kash Patel and fucking go after it.
Kash Patel, also a cool name.
Oh no, he's well.
Kash Patel is the name of an Indian rapper.
No, but I think Kash is the shortened version of his first name. I forget what it is now, but no, dude is an outright badass, and he will not persecute. He will implement justice to remedy the 4 to 8 years of political warfare, lawfare that we've seen. But no, Trump's got to get in and clean house. What's the word when you cut funding to some of these institutions, defund these institutions, and reshape them if they can be reshaped, and gut them and destroy them if they can't.
Do you think that's what they're going to do?
They will be. The deep state is a very, very formidable opponent, but everything answers to the money at the end of the day. And if you defund these institutions, they won't have the budgets to keep grinding away. They've been grinding away.
What do you know about Israel?
Oh boy, I know I don't like talking about it because I get yelled at by both sides.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is what's going on over there? We still at war? What's happening?
Let's not change something a little bit more politically correct. What do you think about Israel? I still have my questions about October 7th. How it could have happened at the scale it did, and I take shit when October 7th happened, and the next day when they had how many hostages did they take in total?
I heard it was over 1,000, right?
That's what I remember. I don't remember how many at the time. I was like, okay, Netanyahu needs to answer for how this can happen and resign and put someone in power who is not grotesquely incompetent. Okay.
Surprise, he didn't do that.
Well, start from the first part of this. October 7, at the most charitable, is the biggest intelligence failure in Israel's history. At the most charitable.
What happened to Syria? Was that an Israel thing to get...
I don't know. I mean, look, it's deep state to overthrow Assad. Like, they've wanted to overthrow Assad since...
And his wife just filed for divorce.
Oh, really?
He's single, ready to mingle.
He's having a bad week now. Yeah. First you lose the country, now you're getting divorced.
Yeah.
No, they've wanted to overthrow Assad forever. I mean, since what many people believe, and I believe rightly so, was the false flag gassing of his citizens. Yeah, Assad gassed his own citizens. It certainly wasn't the same insurgents who are now taking control of that country. So the West...
Isn't that an Al-Qaeda guy who just took over the country?
It's one of Al-Qaeda, ISIS. I mean,
So Al-Qaeda took over Syria and we're cool with it?
Well, the deep state military industrial complex loves instability. So you had Assad, bad as he might be, at least, I mean, it's the same thing with the one from Libya. Gaddafi. Same thing with Gaddafi. Same thing with Saddam. You're not dealing with parts of the world that necessarily want to opt for so-called Western democracy, which we've seen also is just thinly veiled political violence. So they go in there, kill Saddam. How's it going for Iraq now? Kill Gaddafi. It's the place now where you have actual slavery. Overthrow Assad. That country's going to be much better off when terrorist organizations take over the government, take over the chemical weapons, which gives Israel the excuse to go in there and bomb stuff and do whatever they want to do. There's going to be some discussion about pipelines and whatever, but bottom line, they got what they wanted. But is it an amazing thing that all of this happens within the 2 months between Trump getting elected and taking office? You got drones. You got Syria. You've got the war popping off in the Middle East. Well, what were some of the other catastrophic things going on the 2 months before?
Do you think Canada, because people don't take Canada seriously, do you think Canada needs to do something to show the world that we mean business? Like what I was thinking, I have a strategy for this, is to keep everyone on their toes. Is we unannounced, unprovoked, we bomb Norway. And then people are like, what are you doing? You don't know our next move. You never know what we're going to do. Keep your fucking mouth shut, Australia. You could be next.
You know what the only problem with that is? I don't think Canada has a military anymore to do that because we've given all of our weapons to Ukraine to the point where we need to confiscate guns from law-abiding citizens.
I heard
in Canada.
about that. Is that true?
They said it. I mean, when they say it, I presume they mean it. This is that freaking guy who looks like the villain out of a Spider-Man movie saying we're gonna more gun bans and we're gonna think about working with the government of Ukraine to give them those guns that we've confiscated from Canadians because Guns
That's
are so
nuts.
bad,
That's
so
wild.
useless that Canadians don't need them, but they're so productive and so necessary that we're going to give them to Ukrainians. It's political inconsistency. But jokes aside, when you say like, what's Canada going to do? Trudeau has already announced that he's going to crack down on border issues. I don't know if you heard about this.
On border issues?
Oh, he's going to tighten up the border.
I mean, it's a little too late.
Of course, it's too late, and not just that. I would say too late by design, but it's too late. It's just he's the cheapest of political whores the world has ever seen. He knows there's going to be an election sooner than later. So what does he do?
You know how I fucked up the border? Yeah, it's so fucked up, right?
no.
Super. I'm gonna fix it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, the border's not a problem, but I'm going to tighten it up. The economy's doing fine, but I'm going to give you a GST, QST reprieve on foods, which were largely tax exempt in the first place. So he's trying. But anyhow, bottom line, his political career, I think, luckily, is over sooner than later. But it's wild how all of this really starts happening in the 2 months after Trump gets elected, which was in the 4 months after they tried to kill him twice, which was in the 4 years after they tried to bankrupt him, jail him, remove him from the ballots. And then people saying, well, what's left for them to do? They're not just going to peacefully let it happen. And I'm like, at some point, and I think we're at that point now, God forbid, and they won't. But what's been set in place now is already too far forward to even undo with what they tried to do, back in July in Butler.
Yeah.
You got JD Vance, who's next up. You've got a team involved. You've got a movement of people across America that, but plus they understand now. The people have fucking had it.
Yeah, people are pissed. I'm pissed.
No, if you're not pissed, you're not paying attention.
That's a good.
I like that. I want to put that on. You know what? I want to put that on a shirt.
Put it on a shirt. Viva Frei. If you're not pissed, you're not paying attention.
I like it. But then you come back to Canada, and we're going to have an election. And if you're not pissed about this, you're not paying attention. Jagmeet Singh.
I don't like Jagmeet Singh at all.
Pension, not pension. Pension. You know about that whole theory.
It's not a theory. I think he's outwardly said it that he's going to hold on until he's eligible for his pension, and then he's going to fuck off.
Well, if he outwardly said it, good for him for finally telling the truth. But
we all know it if he didn't say it.
Well, he came out. He signed a letter saying now he's going to support a non-confidence vote.
Let's see. He said that
right
last
when
time.
they
It didn't
come
happen.
back.
Didn't happen.
No, but when they come back and when they declare that and whatever, he'll be 5 days into his pension having been secured.
Oh, his pension's secured now? I thought his pension gets secured in September.
No, I thought it was June, July. I've been told it's February.
Oh, that's so
the whole government is in a crisis mode when Chrystia Freeland resigns. And then they recess for 6 weeks for Christmas. They're going to come back. I think they can prorogue Parliament to end the session, and then they can declare an election. And by the time they declare it, it'll be like February, and they will have secured. And I don't think Jagmeet's the only one, but it's so transparently corrupt, it makes you want to puke. I don't know who I hate more in Canadian politics. I can tell you who I hate less than the three, but I don't love him, is Pierre Poilievre. Maxime Bernier is my man. And
Maxime Bernier is too crazy for me.
Maxime Bernier is the Canadian Trump, if anybody's looking for that.
I don't think so. Trump is more well put together.
I wonder how much of that is language-based. Like
No.
if Maxime were fluent and smooth, if there weren't a linguistic barrier to some extent, I wonder if his message would be differently received. But I think policy-wise, I think he's aligned with Trump. I don't know where
he might be aligned. Let's say he has good policies. I haven't looked into him too deeply, but the way it's structured feels so. I don't know. It feels so low budget. Like it doesn't.
It's Canadian politics. I mean, the Canadian politics. When you look at parliamentary debate, it looks like you're watching.
You're right.
A cheap soap opera at 3 a.m. That's my joke. If anyone wants to put that montage together,
It's true though.
No, it's like South American. I don't know. Like when they make fun of South American soap operas. That's what Canadian Parliament looks like. A bunch of freaking clowns acting like a bunch of idiots that you wouldn't believe were true if you were watching it on CTV.
This man changed his political affiliation last month, and then everyone gets up. Yes, tell him. Yes. What are you guys talking about?
No, and Pierre
why is that guy wearing a powdered wig? Why are you wearing dresses? What is this theater? Why does one guy have a scepter? Like, it's not the Lord of the Rings. Why are you dressed like this?
And Greg Ferguson gets up and tells the Conservatives, "I'd like to remind you that you can't use people's first name." I was like, anybody watching that and not laughing?
Can't use people's first names.
No,
Shut the fuck up, Steve.
But. Is it Steve Ferguson?
It's Greg.
Ferguson.
Shut up, Greg, you moron.
Greg, who's another corrupt hack, but no, it's an amazing time to be alive.
Well, I stopped caring a long time ago.
You will get back to caring.
No, what I mean by caring is like I care about what's happening. Obviously, I'm passionate, but I stopped caring about like people being mad at me for making fun of everything.
I'm
so relaxed
caring
now
about that with the whole the trans question is when I like realized, holy fuck, I don't care what people think of my thoughts. If I believe my thoughts are rational, reasonable, fair, and based in science, I don't care what people think anymore. But I think we've entered the realm now where the vocal minority has been sensitized to the fact that they are a minority that people do not like and do not agree with, and that their reign of terror on social media is over.
But I don't know if you think there's enough trans people to have a reign of terror. I think it was adjacent media people that were using that argument and were attacking you. Because I don't think there's enough trans people that exist in order to call. I think it's just these lunatics that just use them as a puppet. You know what I mean? Because all the people that argue online, it's rare that it's an actual trans. It's other people saying like, of course, a man that transitioned to be a woman should be able to fight and all that. But
typically a man saying that as well.
Normally, trans people are like, ah.
No, well, that's the irony of this, and I think that's what we've realized. Like
leave me alone, and then everyone else is like, I'm not gonna leave you alone. I'm gonna defend your honor.
No, like, well, I could say like the trans. I think they asked to be called transsexual, but you know, like Blair. What is her? Oh my goodness, Blair White.
Oh yes.
And then you have the transsexual Buck Angel.
Yes.
If I didn't I call Blair a she because I didn't know that she was a man before I psychologically took cognizance of her existence.
That's fine.
And Buck Angel, they were calling him trans. I'm looking at this guy, I was like, dude, if this guy's trans, he's more man than I am. So it's not a matter of hypocrisy about calling some people she and if they're actual males. It's a question of my perception of reality. When I understood that person existed, she was not presenting herself as a man presenting as a woman. But the reality is like,
I don't care. I'll call you. Just tell me what's your name. I'll call you that.
You know, the name is the easy way to go about it. But I think the reality is like,
I'm gonna fight you on this.
People have hijacked these movements, and to the detriment of the individuals on behalf of whom they've allegedly hijacked them. And I've never met a trans person who says, I think men should be able to compete with women.
No, I haven't seen that yet either. In fact, the trans people I know have told me the opposite.
Yeah, I know. Except the activists and the ones who like to make the drama. I won't call them grifters, but it's what they do. Who go after Riley Gaines, they tend to be fanatics, activists, but not trans. Just people who like breaking shit, and men above all else, which is the irony.
Oh, really? Is it?
The men who identify as whatever, saying, I want to compete in your sport, and call me. You see the video of this guy who's clearly a guy who looks like a guy wearing a curly blonde wig and whatever, and with a voice deeper than mine, going out and recording him eating food. And every time the waiter calls him sir or whatever, the person freaks out.
I'm not a sir.
This is provocation. This is not. And first of all,
try to trick me.
No, but someone can call me a she. I give a flying fuck what someone calls me. But the people making the political shitstorm about it are just provocateurs. They're not actually out for any meaningful. They're out to oppress. They're out to be. They're out to exploit people's kindness, to the detriment of the people they purport to be doing it for, who don't even want them doing that in the first place.
In their defense, I was at Best Buy yesterday, and I was called sir, and I didn't like it. I was like, I'm not an old man. They're like, Mr. Sir. I go, don't call me sir, you little piece of shit. So I was offended by that.
Yeah, I
don't know why that bothers me.
I don't mind. But
Mister.
But it does make you feel old. Was it a young girl?
It was a young man. It was a young boy.
Man.
I was like, dude.
That's even worse. That's like he's looking at you and he's seeing an
old man
and not an equal in life.
You're telling me I'm that different from that 14-year-old?
I don't. The older
intellectually, we're at the same level.
No, but you still look in the mirror and you feel. I don't know. What age do you associate your existence with?
Honestly, this is weird. I keep forgetting how old I am until I'm reminded, and then I'm disgusted with myself. In my head, I'm like 30 or late 20s. That's how I feel. I think I feel ever since I lost weight, I feel younger and I feel better. But I'm 38. I just turned 38.
You know how old
I just don't feel it.
No, you'll start feeling it later. I'm 45 now.
I thought you were 52.
No. I look in the mirror and I don't look in the mirror and say I associate with my
In the 30s.
No, I'm 16. I'm still 16 in my head.
You're still 16.
I'm 16. Well, that was
By the way,
year.
that's not going to hold up in court. But that's not.
Not for that. I mean, for like being an idiot, doing stupid things.
Yeah,
not,
same.
But so like, the idea that you get to be a certain age where 16-year-olds are calling me sir, I was like, holy shit. First of all, I don't like the hierarchical terminology, but I also don't like the fact that kids who I still associate myself being their age are looking at me and like I'm the old man. I remember being 16 and looking at the old man and saying, "You're an old man."
Old son of a bitch.
Fucking
Yeah,
45. It's like you may as well be a granddaddy.
Well, I definitely don't associate myself with kids because I look at them. The truth is, even our producer here is 21 years old today, and I call him a kid. And he's technically an adult. He's allowed to vote. He's allowed to go kill people in Africa if he wants to join the military. So I shouldn't refer to him as a child. But yeah, I guess in their defense, I see them as kids.
His brain is still developing. Your brain develops until you're 25 years old. Right now, you're still making compromised decisions.
I see him as, dude, I see 24-year-old girls that come to comedy shows, and I'm like, these are children. I'm like, why are you here? You're a child. Go do child stuff. And they're like, I'm 24 years old, bro. So I guess, yeah, it goes both ways. Yeah, you just don't want to feel old. But yes, sir, I get sir. I don't like sir. Because I don't like it because I feel like you're putting, like, dude, I'm just a dude.
Yeah, but then
I'm another idiot.
In fairness, I hate being called dude. I hate being called bro. I like being called brother.
Yeah.
And I like being called
You like the
man.
Muslim Brotherhood.
Brother. I do like when people call me brother. Like I do. It feels familial.
Hello, brother.
I like being told God bless you.
You ever speak with Hulk Hogan?
No, he uses brother a little too much. Now you mention it. You could
Listen here,
overuse
brother. I got a question about Hitler. Was he racist or he just had a thing against lawyers? Like Hogan's funny.
Did he actually? He didn't.
No,
actually
but it
say
sounds like something he'd say. Just, is he racist? Maybe he just doesn't like lawyers.
But now, Pantelis,
and bankers.
You've been in Canada for the last since I've left, which
Yes.
is 2.5 years.
Though I do
now.
come to the States often, yeah.
But I mean, what is it like here? I mean, the winter. I'm now realizing
It's sad and cold and depressing. That's why I go down the States. It's sad, cold, depressing. It's difficult because it's hard to talk to some people. They just don't get it. Like everything around them is crumbling. And you're like, maybe we should change. Maybe we should vote for someone else. And they're like, no, that's crazy.
It's the I don't know what I call I think people put valor in their own suffering, and there is like at some point sometimes I feel like I'm living in Florida and it's too sunny all the time, people are too smiley all the time, and he's like, we need suffering in order to grow.
Well, you guys have your hurricanes.
Yeah, no, oh my God, they were amazing, but they were amazing in the sense that I've never lived through a hurricane frenzy. It went around us, but it was a fucking frenzy.
Yeah,
and then
terrifying.
We were on the east side when there were spontaneous tornadoes erupting out of nowhere, and it actually killed. I think it killed 4 people on the east side. And I was 20.
Like they're telling you not to live there. Just a spontaneous tornado. That's insane.
No, it's like, and I'm out there jogging, and you look at the clouds, and then I hear I was following a channel. This was during the last hurricane, and it's like, yeah, there's our tornado. It was 20 miles north of us, and they go down and just destroy. So you've got your suffering there, but I think the way people rationalize the negative consequences of their political and spiritual decisions is to say, the suffering defines me, and in a way that might be good, but and I think there's a certain amount of despair. I come back here, I see the proportion of people wearing masks makes me feel bad for the people.
You know something funny? There's people it's minus 20 degrees Celsius, which is minus what the fuck in America, and you'll see people jogging with the medical mask.
I say
it's just insane. It's like, well, I don't understand what you're doing.
That might make sense because it might retain heat a little.
No, put
better.
a goddamn scarf on. Put a
neck warmer.
That's insane.
No, it is. There's a spiritual difference. Just like you cross a border, and it's a demarcation of some a difference in the zeitgeist. And you come here, I feel it. I believe people are on edge. I think they're on edge everywhere, and maybe I'm looking for it more in Canada. But the masks, people seem stressed. It is. The sun goes down at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's very depressing.
And that's it. I mean, the only good thing now, the silver lining, is that it's a December 23rd, so the days are getting longer. But I think people are actually clinically depressed on a national scale and don't actually know it.
No. A lot of them don't know it. They don't know why they're sad, and then they get mad at everyone else. They don't want it's the party thing that bothers me, is that they just vote based on party, not on actual party lines. Like an actual, I guess, politics, they don't matter anymore. Trudeau can change his politics tomorrow to do a 360, to do a 180 compared to what he had 4 years ago, and they're just going to vote for him again. So then you just like the person. You don't like what's happening to your country.
I don't think it's the branding is good. I don't even think it's that. It's like Trudeau has done a 180 on immigration and then did a 180 back again when Trump got elected. He came and said, companies and schools are abusing of our foreign student visas, and so we're going to crack down because the system can't handle it. And I was like, people told you that 8 years ago or 7 years ago, and then he does a 180 again when Trump gets elected. He's like, oh, all of you illegal immigrants in the States can come up to Canada. We will welcome you.
Why would we do that?
No, and it's like he does a 180 on taxes, and he's going to give a reprieve for 2 months only until the election.
Yeah, that's not a 180.
The issue is that like people are, I say, largely ignorant, but not in a judgmental way. They don't live the politics, and so they are stuck with the branding. If you vote for the Liberals, you're liberal. If you vote for the Conservatives, you're racist. And if you vote for NDP, you're for the people. When in reality, the NDP has nothing to do with workers.
The NDP is if you love corporations.
Yeah.
If you love corporations and taking advantage of people, but they will throw pizza parties once in a while. Then you love the NDP.
They are the most elitist political pricks on the planet. The Liberals
Maserati Marxists.
Well, we got to call them BMW Marxists, but it doesn't work. BMW bureaucrats. The Liberals are the most illiberal party on earth, and in reality, the Conservatives are the least conservative party in Canada.
I have that question.
Liberals.
What are they conserving?
They conserve nothing. I say like the branding should be vote for us. We're just like the Liberals 8 years ago.
Yeah,
and you'll get some liberal votes, but it's an amazing thing where people are ideologically entrenched by the branding and by the labels, where they think if you're conservative you're racist and if you're liberal you're good. When in reality, if you vote liberal, you're a fucking racist.
Yeah,
by policy, not individuals.
Exactly. If you vote liberal, you're not inherently racist, but you're voting for some racist shit.
You're voting for the party is. I don't care that they're ethnically diverse on paper. They implemented policy that was racist. And if you supported it, you supported racist policy.
True.
Vaccine mandates were inherently racist if you go by the disparate impact on minorities, especially on women, natives, blacks, Latinos. What are some of the other things? Their immigration policy is inherently racist. The idea that you import cheap labor is racist. And then, so fundamentally, and I say, like, if you got to flip it on the head and stop being polite and stop pussyfooting around it. If you vote for the Liberals, you are voting for racist policy. If you vote for the Conservatives, you're voting for Liberals. And if you vote for the PPC, people are going to say you're wasting your vote. But I prefer to waste my vote.
Well, you are wasting your vote. That's true. But what the PPC needs to do is, if they have any good ideas, they should merge with another party and see if they can.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. And people were joking, like, if they welcomed Maxime back, would he go back to the Conservatives?
Was he a Conservative before?
He was. They screwed him out of the leadership race.
Oh, yes,
which is what led to
you're
the
right. You're right. I remember this, yes.
But no, the PPC, they have the right ideas. My only issue with the PPC, or not, it's not with the party, but it's with online supporters, is the PPC is sort of like the Libertarian Party of the States. They don't want to have any ideological litmus test. And the result is that you get a lot of
lunatics,
a lot of diverse thoughts. Like when the Libertarian Party out of New Hampshire is making jokes about assassination of Trump, and like, you idiots, this is why the Libertarian Party in Maine or another state doesn't get taken seriously.
Yeah.
You got some players doing the same thing online. I don't think they are no true Scotsmen. I don't think they're bona fide PPC supporters, but it doesn't help.
I think we need to all come together and get rid of all politicians.
That's going to sound like hate speech and even potentially even worse. You can't get rid of them. You can only minimize the number. It's a necessary evil that should be kept as small as humanly possible.
I'm with you. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, then the question is, who's in Canada, who's going to do it? You're going to have the election. It's going to go down the way it's going to go down. You're going to have a majority conservative
That's
government.
what I think is going to happen.
There's no question. The only real question is, are we going to get any number of seats to the PPC so that you can have an actual opposition voice in Parliament?
But even if you they won't win that many.
No, but you need, first of all, you need one. Let's start with one and just get one genuine PPC voice. Genuine, I don't call it conservative. Constitutionalist, rational thought voice in there. Immigration is okay, but it shouldn't be how you fuel your population growth. Massive government spending, it doesn't work out well. These are basic common sense things.
Because I had an idea. I had said on another podcast, I said, if you really want to stimulate growth in the population, you could reduce taxes and give benefits to people who are having kids.
Absolutely.
And then that way your population grows naturally. And then someone told me, that's viewed now as racist, to want your population to grow.
Yeah,
organically.
because it's funny.
This is insane.
Because they view the population that you want to grow as white, European. Whereas on
But
the one
why
hand,
is that? Hold on. Why is it bad to grow one but not the other? Shouldn't either one be racist?
Because the people who say that are fundamentally racist.
Yeah, there you go.
Bottom line. They're like, oh yeah, they think it's not racist to say, look how bad these minorities have their life. We should bring them into our country. That's racist. I mean, also, it's not up to Canada to start fixing the problems of the world or U.S., but to look at countries and say, based on race, religion,
It's probably shit over
it's
there.
shit over there. Come over here and we'll make it better. And by the way, you Native Canadians will kill you, but we won't incentivize you reproducing. It's racist fundamentally. But yeah, it's very easy common sense. Tax incentives to have kids, and also maybe stop pushing. It's one thing you can push birth control. Maybe stop pushing abortion. Maybe.
Are we pushing abortion?
Holy shit! Trudeau's like, he's like, you ladies in the States now who have the abortion ban, you can come up into Canada. Justin Trudeau's going to take care of you. It's
a weird sentence.
He didn't say it quite in those words, but he did basically say Canada will always welcome women's rights. Like basically inviting people who are not actually having abortions banned in the States to come up to Canada. The only country in the world with no criminal prohibition on abortion at any stage of
We
pregnancy.
discussed this, yes, but it's rare. You have to find a doctor that agrees to do it. But they could if they want to, is what you're saying.
But first of all, you also have to, it's they say euthanasia is where you have to find two doctors. And yet we're finding cases where two doctors are prescribing death to people who are not terminally ill. So there's no shortage of Dr. Kevorkians out there who get off, literally, on killing. But no, the bottom line is it's true. Tough to find a doctor who will perform it after 24 weeks, but we are the only nation in the world with no criminal prohibitions at any point in pregnancy. But to open your borders to illegal immigrants in the States who now are scared of a Trump presidency, and to open the border to abortion for women who are scared of something that doesn't exist in the States yet. And for anybody who doesn't understand what I'm saying, there is no abortion ban in the States, full stop. There are actually 9 states with no criminal prohibitions on abortion at any point through a pregnancy. And even in the most strictest of states, you can travel to another state to do it. I know it's not ideal if you want to do it, but there is no prohibition on abortion in the States. There's no Trump abortion ban. The Supreme Court decision in, Dobbs, kicked the abortion question back to the States, which is what pretty much all states wanted in the first place.
But now that's a bad thing, I heard.
Now it's a bad thing because, California says you can do it. We will not investigate the death of a baby for up to 30 days after pregnancy, after delivery, but it's not post-birth abortion.
What? Whoa, what?
I believe they passed it, or were talking about passing it. I'm fairly certain they did pass it, where they said we will not investigate the death of a baby that occurs within 30 days of delivery.
I mean, these babies are normally implicated in a lot of organized crime. So
the way that it was being sold was that if you try to abort and the baby doesn't die in the abortion, if you end it
after you give birth to
after
it,
a failed abortion, which would be a live birth, then there'll be no investigation into that. And then people are saying, well, this is going to allow people literally to
that's murdering of children.
I mean, look,
that's insane.
If
a kid's born and you kill it,
however,
that's not abortion.
And this is Governor Northam.
If you were allowed to do this, Poseidon's parents would have aborted him.
It's
years ago.
It is it's sick, but so Trudeau.
Wait, hold on. So we're not gonna. California says if you have a kid, you give birth to a kid, and your kid dies. We're just going to assume that...
I want to Google it. I'm going to have to Google it while you talk about something if I can.
Because it sounds too crazy.
Oh, no, it was outlandish. It was that there would be no investigation into the death of a baby if it occurred within 30 days of delivery. Something along those lines. And I reserve the right to be wrong in terms of mistaken how I'm characterizing it.
I hope you're wrong.
I'm going to Google it after this.
I hope
and
you're wrong.
check.
That's evil.
But the bottom line, there's no abortion ban, and yet Trudeau is, okay, we'll promote birth care, birth control, which is, it's fine. You don't want people getting pregnant if they're not ready for it.
Yes.
Then promote abortion, promote euthanasia.
I've said the same thing too about schools where they don't want to talk about sex or they don't want to give out condoms. All that. These kids are going to end up doing stuff. You might as well just let them know what's happening and give out condoms. Try to avoid teen pregnancy so that a little girl doesn't have to go get an abortion. That's going to happen. Let them know.
That's the obvious part about it. But then the idea of promoting abortion like it's contraception.
That bothers me too.
It's not the right philosophy.
It's not the right philosophy, but most of the women I've spoken to about this who are very, very they don't want abortion to be touched at all, they all agree with the same thing. They go, it should not be a contraceptive method.
No, it should be what Bill Clinton called it: safe, rare, and legal. I think that's what he called it. And then people are going to say, I got 2 white men sitting here talking about abortion rights.
I'm Greek, but I like that they assume that I'm
Well,
a white man.
Well, to that I would say, F you if I'll decide to identify as a woman for the purposes of this discussion, and then you can, be quiet. But
Yeah.
no, it's
So then, if the white men are so bad, why do they want my approval on this abortion thing?
no, they don't want your approval.
Well, most of those judges.
No, and so the bottom line, make life so expensive, promote death at every corner, and then say population's not growing, but it's not a replacement, it's just an enhancement because you're not growing fast enough, and you're a bigot for complaining about it. And now we got to tamp down on it because it's gotten out of hand where the system can't handle it because we've been funneling all of our money off to Ukraine and not actually using it on our vets who we now offer death to instead of life. That's Canadian politics in a nutshell.
It's a good country.
It's not much different. I mean, it's a little bit different in the States.
The whole country is a GTA server, really.
Say that again?
The whole country is a GTA, a Grand Theft Auto server.
Well, it's I can tell you, if you go to Toronto, it looks like it's getting there. But oh, that's funny. GTA, Grand Theft Auto, and also the Greater Toronto Area.
Do they call it the GTA? It is a GTA server, whether they like it or not. Viva.
Pantelis.
I want people who don't know that they should be not just following you online on the Twitter, on the Rumble, but also your locals community you've built. I have Patreon. Come to my Patreon. Patreon.com/Pantelis. Support me on Patreon.
Patreon is,
it's great for me.
Crowdfunding is the greatest way to retain your intellectual independence.
Yeah, if you want me to keep talking shit about my blackface leader, join me on the Patreon.
There's always an element of what they call crowd. Is it called audience capture?
I guess crowdfunding.
Where you're in sort of ideologically indebted to your audience. Like, I don't want to piss them off, and I don't want to say. I've taken shit for criticizing Trump for a few things, but
I criticize everyone.
But no, being crowdfunded allows you to be intellectually independent.
Yeah.
If you're, I'm sitting there, I'm jogging and I'm stuck watching fucking cable television. Every ad, pharmaceutical companies and fast food.
No, there's only one good show that's like unbiased on TV, and it's very good. It's like a lot of intellectuals are hosts. It's called The View. It is great. It is a great show.
Hold on, no, I've got to do it. I'm getting nervous here. Hold on 1 second. California bill, no investigation, death baby, 30 days. I don't want to get it wrong because if I get it wrong, fact check. California reproductive health bill does not legalize infanticide. Okay, now you know. Now you know it's true. By the way, let's see if I can get here. My American cell reception out here.
It's like unless your kid is white.
No, because here. Let's just see
let me
this.
hear it.
The bill was amended. Okay, so listen to this. A California reproductive health bill was amended to clarify its language around quote perinatal deaths, end quote, before it passed last year.
Oh, thank God.
But online posts in June 2023 recirculating claims that it legalizes infanticide. They're false. The bill was part of a package of bills protecting abortion rights that California Governor Gavin, by the way, I'm right. Like this. Okay, we'll get there.
You're right, but they changed it because it was too fucked
but
up.
you see how they clarified it. The bill has since been misinterpreted due to language surrounding the phrase perinatal deaths in one of its sections. Here, a tweet said, California. Hold on, we got to get this.
I hope it's your tweet.
The confusion
like some
stems from
asshole.
Bill. Listen to this. The confusion appears to stem from the bill stating it will protect mothers who experience what is referred to as, quote, perinatal death, end quote, from prosecution. Perinatal death, by one of the three definitions...
But how do you prosecute someone that hasn't done anything illegal?
...is the fetal death starting at gestational weeks of 20, ending in an infant death up to 28 days of age. So they wouldn't prosecute. The bill's language on perinatal deaths was amended twice in assembly before reaching the state Senate.
Why was it amended twice if it was okay?
Because it was so fucking clear that it didn't allow what people said it allowed for, but for the fact that it had that spotlight, it would have passed the way it was initially drafted. In April 2022, a spokesperson for the California Assembly member who introduced the bill, Buffy Hicks, told
Good name.
Reuters that she filed amendments to the bill to clarify it applies to perinatal deaths, quote, due to a pregnancy-related cause, end quote.
Okay.
But that still can include a failed abortion. So the bottom line is
I
the
do
ambiguity.
like the fact that it took them twice to like this is kind of vague, bro. You just said if a kid's born, you can kill it. It's like, are you sure? Yeah, it's a little too vague.
Listen to this. Section 7A. Oh, why does it say here? Of the bill surrounding perinatal death was amended again in 2022 to add due to causes that occurred in utero, but that could include a failed abortion.
Yeah.
The section now reads, notwithstanding any other law, a person shall not be subject to civil or criminal liability or penalty or otherwise deprived of their rights under this article based on their actions or omissions with respect to their pregnancy or actual potential or alleged pregnancy outcome.
So if I'm pregnant and I start punching my own stomach,
no. Including miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion, or perinatal death due to causes that occurred in utero. So that means a failed abortion, and then the baby is born alive, and then dies afterwards,
because it's fucked up because you try
there's
to kill
no
it.
prosecution. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
babies
my
hold
understanding.
grudges,
So
that's the thing.
we clarified, and it's even worse than I thought.
All of it's weird. It's just weird.
When a fact check says it's wrong, you know that it's right. When they come out
That's
and
not
say,
how that works, Viva.
if you operate on that basis and you were to be able to bet on this, you would make more money than you would lose at the end of the day.
Yes, that I agree with. But it's all screwed up. Just stop trying to murder kids that are already born.
It's but even also like the idea like third trimester abortions. Look, there can only be one real reason, and that would be the death of meaningful risk of life to the woman, which doesn't include psychological trauma.
If you've waited that long.
And I don't even know how that happens as a matter of science.
Apparently, it could happen to some people that just don't know. It's just they don't have all the signs.
But even still, then the idea that you would be able to abort in the third trimester because it poses a risk to the life of the woman.
That makes sense.
I don't know. At that point, how do you get the living fetus out? It's either
I don't know, but like if you're telling me
or a C-section.
Yeah, C-section.
And in which case, you don't have to kill the baby to get it out at that third trimester.
Oh,
stage.
I see what you're saying. You can just wait it. Yeah. I don't know what the reason.
I don't understand. But
there's got to be though. There's got to be medical stuff that happens that they're like, yo, we can't kill this woman.
Anyways, by the way, talking of fact checks being wrong, the Georgia woman who died because of Trump's abortion ban, she didn't. She took a home abortion kit and then went to a hospital.
What the fuck's a home abortion kit?
It's medical induced abortions. You take pills, and then she hemorrhaged, and she went to a hospital where she was neglected for an extended period of time, and she died. And they blamed that on Trump abortion ban, quote unquote.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's the world in which we live. If you don't know that you're being lied to all the time, you might be susceptible to believing the lies, which is why the independent media is where you can get more accurate information, because while we're not beholden to pharma ads, we are beholden to accuracy. And if you fuck up with your crowd, they're going to say, why would I follow someone who gets things wrong? I'll go follow someone who gets things right.
For the record, I'm not the independent media. I'm a moron with a microphone.
I might be a moron with a microphone and a big voice, but I tend to make sure that I get things right before I open my big mouth.
Yeah, I do get a lot of things right. It's just I say them in a crazy manner.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to get them heard.
Yeah, that's true.
I have found out that, being polite and right is not as good as being loud and right, because I
like being loud and wrong.
Well, that's the worst, because then no one ever lets you forget when you're loud and wrong.
Flip this table.
No, like I every now and again have discussions with my dad where he's like, "Did you have to use so many F words in that tweet?" And I was like, "Well, you read it, and if I be polite, and first of all, they'll still call me a racist."
I could have just called him gay, Dad. I agree, but it wouldn't have the same impact as that F word.
No. I'm talking about the F-U-C-K word.
Obviously, I'm fucking with you.
I know. No, but
I'm bullying you.
You put out a tweet, and you could be the most polite, soft-spoken person on earth, like Riley Gaines, and they'll still call you a misogynist bigot.
Yeah, Riley
so I may
Gaines
as well throw in an F-bomb and say, "Go fuck yourself," and call me whatever you want. I'm still right.
I don't want grown men punching me in the face, and they're like, "Shut up, you dumb whore."
And then
it's so crazy.
Then they kidnap her and assault her.
Yeah,
and by the way,
so
legit,
crazy.
Like, I shouldn't say kidnapping. Be accurate. It's not sequestering. There's a difference between kidnapping, which is displacing, and unlawful confinement, which is holding someone in place. When she went to that university and they blockaded her in the room and then negotiated her release. I forget what the term is, but it's not kidnapping. It is, I'll say unlawful confinement. I think that's what
Which also not good. Don't do that to ladies.
Also a crime.
Yeah,
especially when you're a man doing it to a woman who's saying, "I don't want men competing in sports because it's misogynist." And they say,
you're going to live in my basement. Which makes perfect sense. Well, Viva, the links are in the description. Your locals community, your Rumble page, your Twitter account, all lovely places to follow you on. Thanks for coming by, and I'm going to come down to Florida, and we're going to do a podcast in your studio.
We will do one live in Florida, and we'll see what happens between now and when you get your ass down to Florida. We got January 6th.
I'm going to come down because the thing is, I went a few months ago to Washington, and I told them I'm here so I could storm the Capitol. And they're like, "You're a little late."
Dude, if you get down for the inauguration, I'm going to be down there for a Rumble event.
Should I go to the inauguration?
Dude, it would be amazing. And I think
if I get an invite to the Rumble event, I'll come. If I can come into the... I don't want to stay in the street like some peasant. If I can come to the Rumble event, I'm going to come with the camera and my mic and everything.
Let me see what I can make happen.
If you can get me in, I'll come in. If I get to hang out and meet Trump, even better.
I can't... I hope I get to meet Trump. I've never met him in person, but there's a Rumble event on the 20th. I'm going down...
Can I meet Trump's son? Can we make that happen?
For sure. He does his show.
That's what I'm saying.
We use our Rumble studio. We go one after the other.
If I can come down and hang out with Trump Jr., I'm coming down. That'll be the funniest video.
And Pantelis, I might be going down on the 6th to push for to attend a conference for pardoning all the Jan 6ers on Jan 6. So I'm going to see if I can drive down for
Especially
that.
the guy that was dressed like a Viking.
Oh, well, Jake Angeli. I've had him on the channel a couple times. Now, the one who I'm in contact with, who calls me from prison, is Jake.
There's a dude
Jake
calling
Lang.
you from prison.
Yeah, Jake Lang. He does streams from prison, and then they throw his ass in solitary confinement. I was like, dude, I don't want to do this and be responsible for you. He's like, dude, I'm doing it. I got to, I got to make my voice heard.
Look, listen. If I'm gonna shove a cell phone up my ass and get it in, I'm gonna use it.
No, the thing is, I think he's in a state prison now, so like the rules are a little bit more lax. But no, I'm in touch with this guy Jake Lang, who some people don't like because he
He's the guy with the helmet.
He's the guy who.
The face paint, that guy was
no,
fucking
that was
wacky.
Jacob Angeli. He's the QAnon shaman.
Yes, that guy was wacky.
But he explained that the QAnon, that label's wrong. No, Jake Lang, he was involved in an altercation with police, but that was after they stopped and beat to death Roseanne Boyland.
Oh my
And
God.
so he says, look, it was self-defense, and in as much as I did it, it was provoked, and he's still entitled to a defense. But bottom line, he's been in jail now for 4 years with no trial. So I think at this point, even the violent ones have suffered more than they ought to have, and blanket pardon for all of them. So I'm going to go down and hopefully promote that message, and hopefully it gets heard by the Trump team.
You heard it here first. If you gave me a real invite, I'm paying my way. I'm coming down there, and I'm hanging out with all you homies. I'm going to high five Trump Jr.
We will
It'll
see
be funny.
what we can do.
And then see the media here flip out and be like,
Do we do this?
Canadian influencers are going in there.
No, we're going to get Pantelis locked up. It's going to be like it'll be an international incident. If you paint your face, you can pull off Jake Angeli, get a little horn thing,
Yo, that'd be so funny.
and steal Electron. You can pull the Electron guy also.
I'm here to steal the election for
that'll be-
Canada. You guys are we're not becoming the next state. You guys are becoming the next province.
Someone said that. That is not how the balance of power works. You got to know how to
stupid.
negotiate from a position of weakness,
Yes.
which is what Canada would be doing. But
Oh, so funny. But yeah, Viva, thank you very much. And hopefully I'll see you in Florida soon.
sunny Florida.
We've built this prison cell 'cause we can't trust ourselves. Critical